If somebody was to ask me right now, excuse me, why do Muslims do such things like what took place in Manchester? My honest answer to you would be, sorry bro, I don't know. Because I'm not a violent psychopath with murderous tendencies. You'd have to ask one of those people to find out why. And people still, they continue to push the question, but why? Why would a Muslim do something like that? Like me and other Muslims are the spokespeople for this homogenous group of 1.6 billion people. And I remember being at an industry party and this guy came stumbling across the room. We'd had a couple of bevies. He comes to me and he says, "Guz, you're very important." I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, He says, "Guz, you're also very funny." I was like, "Yeah, you know how I do, baby. That's how I do. I'm a humorous guy." He said, "Guz, what we need you to do is go into your community, your community, yeah? Use your platform, use your humor, and we need you to find the jihadis." Sorry, mate. Go into the community and find jihadis. But I couldn't find where Wally was in that book. Yeah? Let alone find jihadis in the community. What does this guy think? There's a Muslim-only version of Where's Wally called Where's Waleed. Yeah? Really sweaty dude hiding behind a bin with a backpack. Yeah, page 89. There you go, mate. Terrorism solved. I've been a Muslim a while, and I know a lot of Muslims. I cannot get them to commit to what time we're going to Nando's. Yeah? Let alone commit acts of terrorism. I know big dudes out here who are very emotional at the concept of a paper cut as opposed to a suicide bombing. I do not have a clue why somebody would undertake an act like this. And this is not even me lying. Look, I'll come close to the camera. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just like you. As a father, as an uncle, as a former teacher, when I heard what happened in Manchester, I felt how any sane human being would. And that is, I was disgusted. I was shook to my core, really, because it affected beautiful young children. I felt like the whole country was together. And that was until, of course, I went onto social media. Reading the comments from the far right, I could see that people were prioritizing which children's lives matter. But the most children who are affected and killed by groups like ISIS live in Iraq and Syria. Hundreds of young children and babies drowning off the coast of Italy. Yeah, but they're not our kids, do you know what I mean? They're not from the same place. I can't make any connection with them. For me, I can't even comprehend that. The death of any child throughout the world is something that I find abhorrent. Katie Hopkins calling for a final solution. She's clearly just an opportunist. Why would you give somebody that platform in order to spout the things that they say? It's kind of the same way that as a Muslim, when I was sat watching the news and Anjem Chowdhury would pop up every 30 seconds, why are you giving this weirdo a basis and a platform to speak and say the things that he does? It's because this sensationalism sells. It does unfortunately appeal to minorities of people. However, I've got confidence that in Britain and the UK, we know that what they're saying is ludicrous. Politicians very seldomly want to hold their hands up and say, yeah, we are partly responsible for the rise of these groups. The reality is, foreign policy is so important. Whatever we do as a nation will have a direct blowback. When you have huge government bodies greeting terror with purported terror, that only begets more terrorism. Jeremy Corbyn warned of this, being one of only 13 MPs to vote against military intervention in Libya. The individual who committed that heinous act, he'd only actually arrived back in the UK a few days ago from Libya, which is now one of the most unstable places on planet Earth. Is there a direct correlation between being involved in the so-called liberation of that country and this individual's actions and maybe the way he felt? I think we have to question that. There'll be people sitting there right now thinking, look at this geezer, he believes in Islam, look at his beard, he's a proper mug. If you hate everything about me, go outside your door and engage in dialogue, man. Go and speak to somebody. And out of those people that you speak to, try and see how many you actually hate and how many people actually carry way more similarities to you in your life. We have to remember that parents throughout the world grieve in the same way. Whether you're sat in Istanbul, whether you're in Iraq, whether you're in the Central African Republic, when your child is slain by an evil individual, it's important that as humanity we understand that pain takes place for every parent, because that's a commonplace thread of emotion. The community spirit of Manchester epitomizes how you're going to get over things like this. If as individuals we realize that the only way to overcome hate and terror is with love for each other, to support each other, that's the way forward, man. It has to be.